Oklahoma lawmakers are one step closer to a partial budget fix. Mental health programs have found some relief, and a routine traffic stop potentially saves lives. This is OU Nightly. After almost 6 weeks in a special session, the Oklahoma legislature finally passed its first bill. Now, this is to address the $215 million shortfall. The money shortage threatens operations at critical state agencies, including the Department of Mental Health and Substance Abuse.
That's right, Jaycie. The measure raids $23 million from Oklahoma's $100 million rainy day fund and directs those funds be spent to keep mental health counseling and substance abuse services from shutting down. The governor must now sign the bill, but it still leaves the mental health department about $50 million short of the money it needs to fund all of its operations. State lawmakers are still battling over how to fill the rest of the budget hole. Another apparent compromise will raise the tax on oil and gas from wells over 3 years old from 2 to 7%. But one Republican lawmaker warns it will only be a Band-Aid.
It's important everybody remember that gross production tax as a portion of the state budget is actually grossly overestimated. It's still actually just a really small portion of our state's budget. Most of the income off of oil and gas activity actually comes from other types of taxation.
The special session, which was supposed to last 2 weeks, is now into its second month.
So serious resignations have occurred in the state's Department of Health. Shereen Hashem joins us now in Health Beat with more. Shereen.
The Oklahoma State Department of Health Commissioner Terry Klein and Deputy Commissioner Julie Cox-Kane have resigned after the Board of Health accused them of financial mismanagement. Last month, the Health Department requested an audit from State Auditor and Inspector Gary Jones to address a budget and operating cash shortfall. State Finance Secretary Preston Dorflinger is now the interim health commissioner for the OSDH. Governor Mary Fallin says Stephen Buck will replace Klein as the Health and Human Services Secretary on her cabinet. Buck is awaiting approval by the Senate. A new baby gene therapy study offers hope for a fatal muscle disease. 15 babies with spinal muscular atrophy live after all receiving the experimental therapy. Dr. Jerry Mendel says that more study is needed to prove if it works and is safe. Doctors hope the therapy will be a one-time fix, but it's still not clear whether the replacement gene effects will carry on over time. We're in the middle of flu season, and there were 12 new flu-related hospitalizations this week, including one here in Cleveland County. This brings the total number of hospitalizations to 43 in Oklahoma. And federal health officials investigate an E. coli outbreak at a Marine Corps depot in San Diego. More than 300 Marines in training are sick with the disease, along with personnel at Camp Pendleton. 10 recruits were taken to an off-base hospital, while the rest are currently quarantined. And Collin and Jaycie, tomorrow is the start of National Influenza Vaccination Week. So if you haven't gotten your flu shots, it's really the time to do so.
I was like, I'm going to admit, I still haven't gotten mine. So
Jaycie, that is just sickening.
I know. I swear, I'll go tomorrow, it looks like.
Yeah,
so.
you should.
All right, well, thank you very much, Shereen.
Now, in Oklahoma, state workers are demanding an apology after being compared to terrorists. Republican Representative John Bennett of Sallisaw made comments yesterday on the state House floor. Bennett said agencies that threaten to cut services to the most vulnerable Oklahomans are committing terrorism. Governor Mary Fallin has also called for the apology, saying that this is unacceptable behavior. Bennett claims that his comments were not about individual employees, but agency heads.
Republican Representative Leslie Osborne is speaking out against the comments made by Bennett and others like it. She released a statement today saying in the past few months, women have been called hosts, suggestions that Immigration and Custom Enforcement plucks children from their homes, and now have called our hardworking, underpaid state employees terrorists. She said no one has addressed or apologized for these statements that do not represent our body as a whole. She ended the statement by saying, please hold us more accountable, expect more, demand more. Our state deserves better.
And there's a new nomination at the nation's capital. Allyson Stewart joins us with more in the News Center. Allyson.
Thanks, Jaycie. President Donald Trump nominated Jerome Powell to be the next chairman of the Federal Reserve.
As president, there are a few decisions more important than nominating leaders of integrity and good judgment to hold trusted positions in public office. And few of those trusted positions are more important than the chairman of the Federal Reserve.
Powell has been a Federal Reserve governor since 2012 and was a former Treasury official in the George H.W. Bush administration. This is the first time in 4 decades that a new president hasn't asked the current Fed chair to stay on for a second term. The man accused of killing 3 people inside a Colorado Walmart last night is now in custody. Scott Ostrom was arrested this morning, and officials have yet to find a motive. Investigators say the shooting that killed 2 men and a woman appears to be random. The victims' identities have not been released. The suspect in New York's deadliest terror attack since 9/11 has been charged with federal terrorism offenses. 29-year-old Sayfullo Saipov is charged with providing material support to ISIS, violence, and destruction of motor vehicles. Law enforcement found 90 ISIS-related videos on his cell phone, which Saipov told investigators served as his inspiration. Saipov appeared in federal court in a wheelchair and didn't enter a plea. Officials say Saipov had been planning the attack for a year. And Jaycie, Los Angeles Dodgers outfielder Yasiel Puig not only lost the World Series last night, but also had his house robbed of $170,000 worth of jewelry. An unfortunate night for Puig, but Spencer will have more on the World Series later in sports.
Well, thank you, Allyson.
A Las Vegas photographer arrested here in Oklahoma with a cache of weapons and explosives is headed for trial. Special Judge Lisa Hammond says there is enough evidence to try Scott Michael Bowden. Oklahoma City police arrested the 42-year-old Bowden after finding hand grenades, explosive powders, and loaded guns during a traffic stop. Bowden pleaded not guilty to charges of manufacturing or possessing an explosive device and possession of an offensive weapon while committing a felony.
So the Student Government Association's presidential election ended last night in a runoff. Yassine Sharbahi and Vanessa Mraz are the 2 presidential candidates sent to run against one another. Sharbahi and running mate Hannah Hardin received 49.74% of the votes, and Mraz and running mate Jake Mazadis received 23.35%. The runoff election will be held next Monday, November 6th, and there's a potential debate being planned for Sunday, November 5th.
Jaycie, I've heard it's going to get a little colder, which is pretty unfortunate because it's been pretty nice out here.
It's been really nice out, actually. But Trey, do you have more on that?
Yes, I do. We actually do have a cold front moving through the state now. It has moved through the Oklahoma City metro. So here in Norman, we are experiencing northerly winds, and that will cool our temperatures heading into tonight and tomorrow. But through this weekend, we will have dramatically warmer temperatures for the Bedlam game. More on that coming up later. But here is the past 6 hours of satellite. Nothing in the way of any precipitation near Oklahoma, just some high-level clouds moving across the state. And that will be the case heading into the remainder of the weekend. Weather headlines, 2 main stories, a warm weekend ahead, temperatures in the 80s. I'll break that down coming up, as well as 3 cold fronts and your Bedlam forecast. Back to you guys at the desk.
Well, thank you, Trey. Still ahead on OU Nightly, one student organization is doing their part to raise awareness for men's health.
Plus, insects are crawling all over OU's campus. You're going to want to stay with us.
So it's that time of year again, as men across the nation participate in an event known as No Shave November. However, it's also the month where men take care of more than just their facial hair. It's the start of Movember, a play on the words between mustache and November, but its main purpose is men's health awareness. The Movember Foundation, founded in 2003, has made it its goal to make the public aware of just how many health issues men face throughout their life. Because of this, OU's Lindsay and Asp student organization has made it their goal to do their part in helping Movember.
What Lindsay and Asp is focusing on is prostate cancer prevention. So it's really easy to get checked for prostate cancer, and our faculty advisor, Pritchard, is actually a survivor of prostate cancer. So this is a campaign that's very near to our hearts.
The Movember Foundation will be running their campaign throughout all of November, and they have a couple of events planned throughout campus to help raise money.
Now, if you've been noticing a lot more pests this semester, both dead and alive, you aren't the only one. OU Nightly's Scott Haas has more on why these insects keep on bugging us.
Crickets, beetles, a wide variety of flying and crawling critters, and even more crickets. It seems that no matter where you look, these pests always seem to find their way into places we don't want them. Students especially have been getting fed up with constantly dealing with the barrage of insects squeezing their way into everything.
We've tried spraying around the apartment along the walls and everything, and that's been helping keep them down. But they still keep surfacing, and some end up getting to our rooms still, so.
And it's not just students struggling with these gross bugs, as custodians and food workers have to deal with cleaning them up after they get inside.
If it was decent weather outside, we get tons of them at night. You could hear tons of them, and most of them didn't live past getting through the hallway, getting into food areas really, but you could see just tons of them along the back, and we'd have to sweep them up, and then they sprayed for them, and so.
So why is it that these pests are so determined to enter homes and buildings and become a hindrance for those inside?
It's kind of a problem of light pollution. The crickets that we see around here on campus in classroom buildings are house crickets, and they are attracted to lights that are left down overnight. And about this time of the year, they'll come into people's front doors and hang out there.
As these invasive bugs continue to plague students, some would like it if OU stepped up their efforts to combat this problem.
I wish that they would spray more often in the apartments, and then also create better doors or somehow innovate the doors to make them bug proof so they can't get in easily.
OU does spray some of their main facilities and has exterminators come in monthly, but still the problem persists. Hopefully a solution will present itself and squash out this problem. Scott Haas, OU Nightly.
Even though the fall is coming to a close, these pests seem to be thriving all across the OU campus area.
And even if fall is coming to a close, this weekend could be really warm. Isn't that right, Trey?
Yes, that is right. We have dramatically warmer temperatures for our weekend. I'll break down how hot we'll get and have your Bedlam forecast coming up in Maine Weather. Look outside towards Headington College. We have partly cloudy skies, some high-level clouds out there, but nothing major. We have plenty of sun outside, keeping our temperatures mild. Here's 74 degrees outside right now. Northwest winds at 13 miles per hour, dew point at 42 degrees, so some significantly dry air outside as that cold front begins to move through. Here's this evening, 6 p.m. Thursday, future radar. We will not have any precipitation. We will remain dry all weekend. Northerly winds have taken over with that cold front, and those will remain with us tomorrow through early Saturday morning. Now notice Saturday afternoon at kickoff, the Bedlam kickoff, 3 p.m. on Saturday. Winds will be out of the southwest. Those will be warming our temperatures into the 80s. Again, that trend continues into Sunday. Sunday afternoon, however, a cold front will stall out in northern Oklahoma. That's our second cold front, but the dramatically cooler temperatures that follow it do not come until Monday afternoon. We'll break that down coming up on your 7-day forecast. Bedlam forecast kickoff at 3 p.m. Low 80s, so great game time weather. Southwest winds at 5 to 15 miles per hour. Your evening planner tonight, 63 degrees at 8 p.m., 60 at 10 p.m. and midnight, 57 degrees with partly to mostly cloudy skies throughout the evening. Lows tonight, 50 in Norman, ranging from 35 in the Panhandle to down 64 degrees in Idabel. So quite the range as that cold front pushes to the southeast. Day planner tomorrow as you're waking up, 50 degrees, partly cloudy skies all day with northwest winds, 65 as you're headed home. Highs tomorrow, 65 in Norman, 63 in Oklahoma City, 59 in Enid. So a mild day, but cooler than it was this afternoon. 65 for a high tomorrow as that cold front moves through, warming through the weekend, and then begins our roller coaster of temperatures. 71 for a high on Monday. That second cold front takes our temperatures down once again. 60 on Tuesday, 48 on Wednesday. So the latter half of next week, much cooler, but this weekend is going to be great game time weather.
I was like, I think you just summed it up perfectly. A roller coaster.
Roller coaster,
of
absolutely.
weather.
48 degrees and rain? That's a pretty sad day.
It's a dreary day.
Not looking forward to that one.
No, neither am I.
Well, thank you, Trey.
Absolutely.
Spencer, I was going through my scripts today and I saw a bunch of numbers. I see an 86, a 16, and a 7. Do you know what this means?
Collin, what you're reading is OU's very lopsided record against OSU. But first, we'll talk a little bit about the Astros' historic World Series win. Sports is up next.
Success. Here's a ground ball right side, could do it. The Houston Astros are world champions for the first time in franchise history.
Welcome back. For the first time in their history, the Houston Astros are World Series champions. Houston got on the board early and held a 5-0 lead after the second inning. The Dodgers were never able to gain momentum as they left 10 runners on base and scored just 1 run. With a 5-1 lead after the 6th inning, the score never changed, and Charlie Morton threw a 4-scoreless inning closing game to seal it. And what may have been the least exciting game of the series, it certainly will be the one Astros fans remember the most. Congratulations to the Houston Astros. And the man who will be taking home the World Series MVP award is George Springer. Springer played like a man possessed as he had 8 extra base hits in the series and amassed 29 total bases. Both are World Series records that have held strong since the 1970s. And what do you get when 2 of college football's biggest rivals meet with playoff implications on the line? If you answered Bedlam, you were correct. The Oklahoma Sooners will take their nearly perfect record up to Stillwater for a shootout with the Oklahoma State Cowboys. After the Sooners worked over the Cowboys last year 38-20, OSU is looking to come out victorious this Saturday. But head coach Lincoln Riley knows that a Bedlam game is never an easy task.
It's just a good setup. They've got great skill guys on the edge. You got a quarterback that can deliver, and then they also run the ball well. So I mean, it's yeah, they're very deep, very talented. They're making a lot of plays.
Oklahoma State also just has 1 loss on the year, and they tote one of the most prolific offenses in college football. Cowboys quarterback Mason Rudolph will look to get his ball to the playmakers as often as he can in order to outscore the Sooners. OSU offensive coordinator Mike Yurcich highlighted what the Cowboys need to accomplish on Saturday.
Obviously, we know who our best players are, and we're going to try to take advantage of matchups when we can. At the same time, they're playing off like a lot of people have. We've got to be able to run the football, so it's no secret to anybody.
And breaking news, Houston, we may have a problem. Rookie MVP candidate Deshaun Watson, the Texans quarterback, suffered a torn ACL in practice today. A dark cloud over what was supposed to be a very happy day in H-Town. And maybe you're sad about baseball ending, or maybe the NBA season isn't quite exciting enough for you. But don't worry, because it's Color Rush Thursday in the NFL. That's right, baby, the bruising Buffalo Bills will roll into East Rutherford to do battle with the New York Jets. This AFC East matchup could actually have playoff implications as the Bills look to improve to 6-2 on the season. The game starts at 7:30 as Week 8 of the NFL season is set to kick off. And even though he plays in Los Angeles, NBA star DeAndre Jordan had no issue showing off his Houston roots. Last night, when the Los Angeles Clippers center heard that the Astros had won the World Series, he was happy to say the least. Shout out to DeAndre for repping his home team, even though he plays in the city that just lost one of the most intense World Series of all time. And guys, did you check out that World Series?
Yes, I did. I did watch the World Series.
Well, like you said, I think that it was maybe one of the least exciting games, but definitely one that everyone's going to remember.
Yeah, it's definitely a momentum builder for the city of Houston, and they definitely deserve it after the catastrophe that struck them.
And sad for Deshaun Watson right there.
Yeah, exactly. But thanks very much, Spence. Still to come on OU Nightly, not a lot of people can say that their wedding was the product of the World Series.
So stay with us.
You say yes, I say no. You say stop, and I say go, go, go. Oh no.
I'm Cheyenne Plummer at the Update Desk. Immigration officials lied to Luis Moreno, a Norman father of 6, who wanted to extend his work permits. He was told by immigration that they would grant the extensions if he came to the office, but was quickly arrested and deported instead. The family has asked for assistance from Senator James Lankford, whose team is researching the case. That's it for now. Jaycie?
Well, thank you, Cheyenne. So the Houston Astros storybook season had a fairy tale ending, as his teammates and coaches celebrated a Game 7 win as a first ever World Series championship. Shortstop Carlos Correa interrupted the post-game interview to take a knee and pop the question to his girlfriend, Daniela Rodriguez. Not only a handful of Dodgers fans were still on hand, but a TV audience of millions looked on as a former Miss Texas exploded in joy and answered yes. So one lucky lady left the ballpark with left last night with a ring. Correa and the rest of the Astros won't get their World Series rings for a few weeks.
She's already got her head start on them.
Exactly, right? She's got a big one from what I've seen.
She's in a pretty good spot. Got on live TV, got her ring, wedding coming up. That's a big spot.
Exactly.
But I have to do something right now. Trey, will you do me the honor of telling me what the weather fact is today.
Of course I will, Collin. So our weather fact today is on this day last year we set a record high temperature of 84 degrees. So our high today was 78, so we were only 6 degrees short of breaking that record once again. But this record was set last year. We had a very warm end of the year last year.
Wow, warm days all around, right?
Just another day where I'm from. But hey, thanks, Trey.
There you go, no problem.
Well, thank you all for watching OU Nightly, brought to you by the Gaylord College of Journalism and Mass Communication here on OU's campus.
We'll see you back here tomorrow night live at 4:30.
Good night.